Oh, wait, I don't have my football.
Did you guys hear? The Chargers have an interesting situation that they're in here. They either are going to be playing against Walmart Tom Brady or Walmart Derek Carr this weekend. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of Nuts and Bolts. I'm your host, NFL Mike. I'm joined with my co-host, Tony Tucker and David. David, you want me to keep plugging Instant Replay or just calling you David?
You just call me David. Don't worry about the Instant Replay.
David, co-host of the Nuts and Bolts podcast. We're here once again. How you guys doing, Tony? Have a good week?
Having a great week. Very thankful for the family, for a Chargers victory.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, just the opportunity to join you gentlemen again and celebrate Raiders going down to the Chargers this week.
Again. David, any salsa?
Mike, your mic's cutting out.
Yeah.
Hello? Test. 1, 2.
You're on that cord. Check that cord, brother. Did you hit the volume slide? Anyways,
Yeah.
David, I'll take There you go.
Oh, I hit the volume slide. Good call, Tony. Good call. I should have checked that immediately. David, did you celebrate it all this week? The victory, first one of the season.
It was a very short victory Monday for me because I'm much more excited for Raiders week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Raiders week.
It's like the focus shift immediately once the clock's hit 0. Once K9 grabbed that interception and secured that dub,
Raiders.
we started to shift our focus on the Raiders. But let's just go back real quick. Let's talk about that Vikings game. And whether you're tuned in on YouTube or tuned in here on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, come over to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel so you can see the full stream. Tuned in on YouTube already, like our boy Athir, who's in here ready to fire away these comments as he does every single week. Please like the video. It helps out the stream a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you're a Chargers fan. Turn on notifications and share this podcast with some more Chargers fans. All right, let's talk about the Vikings. Tony, what stood out to you most about that victory for the Chargers?
I'm going to go with, in rewatching it, the defense inside the 5-yard line was actually pretty spectacular on multiple occasions, right? Like there was several stops in that area. And I think that that's one thing that I would like as a fan base that we would focus on a little bit more, is like getting the wins and getting the victory. Like, sure, we all hope the defense would just be top 5 and out of this world, and our head coach, would like put his signature as the genius that he is. But like, I really think that there was a lot of things that came out of it where it's like, oh, there's things to build on here. And we've gotten nice play from Nick Neiman. I think that actual play can be elevated when EK gets back out there, right? And like some meaningful reps were played for Raheem Lane, JT Woods. Like reps got played, stops got made, games got won, right? Like that's important to be putting all of those things together. And I'm sitting there, rewatch it this morning. And when you watch the L22, no sound. And I'm just yelling and cheering again, over and over again. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. It was so exciting.
Yeah, you got to give that defense props, especially the goal line defense, like you're saying, Tony. I mean, that's also one of the most prolific passing offenses in the NFL. They have a guy that could score a touchdown across the entire board, across the entire field on every play and on those goal line stands. David, what stood out to you most about the Vikings game?
What stood out to me the most was probably the separation our receivers were getting. Our receivers get more separation than the league average. I think Keenan, Mike, Quentin Johnson, and Josh Palmer all get more yards of separation on average. And another thing that stood out to me was Alohi Gilman. I love Alohi Gilman flying around the ball, taking the ball away, and I'd hope to see a lot more of it this week now that he's going to be filling in for Derwin.
Hopefully. And we'll get to the injury report here in a second. But yeah, I love what Alohi does on every single game. I mean, the dude just plays his ass off. He wasn't gifted with a 6'5" frame and 4.4 speed to come downhill and knock these guys out, but he was gifted with something that a lot of football players can't be taught. It's in here. That man plays with a ton of heart. He plays like his life's on the line every single play. One of my favorite players on the team, and he rocks that 32 well. I have like attachments to certain numbers, and I have attachments to 32 and the position safety. So I'm very proud of Alohi and what he's become as a player. I think he's a solid guy in our secondary.
Gilman's that's definitely a jersey I would consider buying if he were to sign and have an extension and stay, because I think he's just a fun player. He's good to root for, and not many people will be wearing it. I just want to pat myself on the back for my predictions also on the show last week. I called the Donald Parham first touchdown of the game, and then also for the game to end on a defensive stop by an interception. I said Gilman, but we'll take K9 making a big play.
I called for 2 Thule forced turnovers. Wasn't turnovers, but he made his imprint. And David called for a Keenan Allen crazy game, and that came true. I mean, we're like Nostradamus over here. Even Athir was on Keenan Allen last week. Athir, out of all the crazy stat lines you have put in this chat, maybe 30 at this point, from the time we've been doing this podcast and Athir has been listening, last week you actually hit, buddy. Keenan Allen, I think he predicted like Keenan Allen for like 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. We're just going to call it close enough. Good job, Athir. You called it as well.
I think he did. Who had the 200-yard prediction? Was that David or him?
I said 150.
Yeah, so I think Athir had like I think he had like 200 yards as a prediction for Keenan, and then Keenan goes for a game that was absolute treat to watch. 215. That was
all-purpose over 250 yards, and yeah, that's what I was gonna have as the thing that stood out to me most for that Vikings game. Number 13 is still elite. This man still got it, and his play style, it's a lot like Steve Smith if Steve Smith was taller and able to go over guys, because it feels like Keenan Allen's longevity, it's gonna last. It's gonna last into his mid-30s, and I think that's very exciting as a Chargers fan, because that's the receiver that they're going to keep and have retire as a Charger. They're going to keep Keenan Allen around as long as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm. He's just entering his prime right now.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. I mean, he's already having a career year. You want to know what he's on track for? I have a video coming out with some crazy stat lines that people are on track for this year. Justin Herbert, first of all, is on track for 5,300 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions thrown. Which will be the first time we've ever seen something like that in the NFL. But Keenan Allen is on track for 181 receptions, 2,278 yards, and 12 touchdowns receiving this year. And I guess technically like 4 passing touchdowns as well if you average it out. But what a game for 13. What a game for the Slayer, man. It's unfortunate we lost Mike Williams in that game, because those two obviously would have loved to celebrate that one together afterwards.
I hope you put that joke in your TikTok video.
Which one?
That you button up the Keenan segment with the touchdown pass element. Like, that's a funny joke.
I gotta add it now.
That sounds like a LaDainian Tomlinson stat line.
I put the yardage in there too. You could average out the yardage too and get a number for the average, for the expected yardage too. But Tony, you got another comment here from Athir, your biggest fan in the world other than me. Tony, if the Chargers ever win the Super Bowl, we missed the leader at the front office. Let me explain.
Okay.
Is anyone? Yeah.
Explain. You got to explain.
You have to explain that one.
Yeah, you got to explain further, please. Anyways, let's keep it moving here. We're going to go on to talk about this Raider game that the Chargers have coming up. If you guys are tuned in live or if you guys are in the chat, please let us know your takes on each topic that we go over here. Starting with the weather. David, you got us with the weather report?
It's going to be raining Raider tears all night long.
That's 100%. 100%.
Chance.
100% chance of Raiders tears in SoFi Stadium. All right, let's get this out of the way while it's here. Tony, my baby, last year, Herbert injury. A GM with leadership goes to Justin and say, I know you want to win and play you, my franchise QB. You're not playing today. I don't care if we lose by 30. What is he talking about? He's talking about benching Herbert right now?
No, I think
he's still win.
I think he's talking about last year with the rib injury.
Oh, that they should have benched him.
They should have.
That was the most frightening game I've ever watched. Was that Jaguars game? Watching them play Herbert down 38-10 the entire game.
Oh, I know. And yeah,
just sitting there like shitting myself every time anyone even gets close to him. But anyways, weather's gonna be good as it always is in LA. But what's not good is the injury report. And just let me catch my breath here for both sides. It's not just the Chargers, but Joey Bosa did not practice 3 days this week. He's questionable for the game. I think they're going down the same path as they have the last couple of weeks. He's going to probably play important downs in key moments in the game. And hopefully, if we get a lead in this game early, Joey Bosa can relax a little bit and get ready for this bye week and recover that hammy. Austin Eckler is listed as doubtful. Don't think it's going to happen. I saw a report come out from Adam Schefter that he heard from a source that Eckler is planning on returning after the bye week, and they're going to use that little early bye week to heal up and get ready for the rest of the season. Gerald Everett had an illness earlier in the week, probably the illness the entire team got. Did not practice until Friday, but he's a full participant in Friday's practice. Good to go, which is a big deal now with Mike Williams down, that all of our weapons are available, or Mike Williams and Austin Eckler, honestly. We need all our weapons we can get out there. Alohi Gilman dealing with a heel injury, which that just sucks because it's hard to run with a heel injury. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday, limited on Friday. He's questionable to play in the game. Derwin James with the hamstring, he's listed as doubtful. Did not practice all week. Don't expect to see Derwin out there. Eric Kendricks dealing with the hamstring since week 2 now. He has been removed from the injury report today.
Excited about that one.
That's a key one, especially because the Raiders are probably going to try and run the ball. Just a hunch. Corey Linsley, center, illness. And I saw a report just before the show started that it was an emergent heart condition. So keep an eye out, Chargers family, on Corey Linsley's situation and story that's going on, and keep him in your prayers. Hopefully that ends up being okay. That sounds kind of scary, just reading it, plain black and white text with no details. Kenneth Murray dealing with a groin injury all week. He's been removed from the injury report as well, so he's good to go. Rashawn Slater had an ankle early in the week. That scared the crap out of me. He's been removed from the injury report. No designation. He's good to go. Dean Leonard is out of this game with a hamstring, so that's some of our cornerback depth, maybe like the edge of the cornerback depth right there. JT Woods is out. I'm not sure what the situation with him. It says SAF on here. You know what happened with JT Woods, Tony?
No.
I didn't hear about it either. David, did you hear anything about it?
I did not.
You hopping on Google right now?
Yeah, I'm hopping on Google right now.
Appreciate you. Keenan Allen was listed with a hip. He didn't practice the first 2 weeks, and he had a limited practice on Friday. But it says there's no designation, so I think Keenan Allen's good to go. Probably just sore from catching 18 passes last week, maybe. And he's not a guy that needs to practice every single day to be able to do that again this week. Going over to the Raiders side of things, Jacorian Bennett, one of their corners, he was limited in practice all week, but he's been removed from the injury report, but was dealing with a hamstring injury. So hopefully the Chargers keep an eye on that and get some Q1 on Jacorian Bennett matchups. Curtis Bolton, one of their linebackers, did not practice all week. He's been labeled out, so he will not be playing this week. Max Crosby, the banged up knee. This is what's weird about this, Tony and David. He practiced on Wednesday and then did not practice Thursday and then did a limited practice on Friday. So that would lead to me to believe that whatever it was that he was feeling, it got worse in the middle of the week. And now he was listed as questionable to play. I assume he will. We probably would have heard from the Raiders if he was expected not to play in this game, but definitely something to monitor. I mean, he's their best player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, him or Devontae for sure.
Yeah, one of those two. Jimmy G obviously suffered a concussion last week in concussion protocol. He's questionable. I don't think he's been removed from the protocol yet, has he? So as of right now, he would be out, but it could be lifted by, I guess, Sunday, technically.
Yeah, I think they have, up until Sunday morning or whatever for him to clear, but I don't know.
I feel like we're playing the same game regardless of who's at quarterback for the Raiders, and that game is to not let this team find their rushing attack. Roderick Teamer, one of their safeties, Achilles injury. He was limited and did not practice certain practices this week. He's questionable. Malcolm Kuntz, one of their depth edge rushers. Actually, I think he's kind of been rushing a lot with Tyree Wilson struggling, Chandler Jones issues going on. He's questionable to play in the game with a groin injury. Byron Young, one of their interior defensive linemen, he was moved off of the injury report, but he was limited all week. And Nate Hobbs is questionable with an ankle, who did not practice this week until a limited practice that he put together on Friday. Maybe no Jimmy G. That's probably about it. I think the rest of these guys are pretty likely to play in this game unless, the Nate Hobbs situation with the ankle is worse than I read or think. Anything on JT Woods, David? From the SAF.
A article on CBS got posted that just says it was undisclosed. But about 3 hours ago, Popper tweeted something out that said he was out for an illness.
Oh, man. Just got destroyed with illness this week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about first, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, Tony, because I know you're pretty particular with like when they should rest players, when they shouldn't. Who on this list that is questionable, like Bosa, like Gilman, Eckler, Derwin, do you want to see just sit and rest for the bye week? All of them?
Not Bosa, because I think he's shown that he's managing this through it. So I think if he can play, let him if he wants to, and he feels pretty much the same. Also, I would continue that same reps, like that same sort of what he's been doing. Like there was a play where I'm watching, and I'm like, wait, Bosa's not on the field for this play? Like, again, I already knew the outcome of the game, but I'm still watching going, where's Bosa? Why isn't he on the field? So I think that there's a level of which if I were making decisions that I would kind of leave it to the player a little bit, but also try and protect certain players. Derwin, there's no chance I would let him on the field this week. I also wouldn't let Eckler back on the field this week, and I wouldn't let Alohi Gilman back on the field. Like, I think more so with Gilman because of the bye coming up, and also like I think that's it's going to be uncomfortable for us fans looking up and seeing Raheem Lane and JT Woods in the center of the defense. Like that's going to be, we'll be nervous about that. But again, I'm just going to have faith and confidence that they're going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, the Chargers secondary plays better when they're missing a couple of the starters. I don't know why, but it seems like every time since Brandon Staley's been the coach, when they're missing a couple starters, the Chargers secondary specifically balls the hell out. Like we'll just see a superstar game out of Jasir Taylor or Asante Samuel.
It does seem to be like it looks like everything's a little bit simpler, right? There was a nice play from Neiman down towards one of those goal line stands I was talking about before, where it's nice to have him on the field. He's not super athletic. Like a lot of times I was like kind of watching him out there, and I'm like, man, there's a big difference between him and Kenneth chasing down the football. Like a huge difference. But smart.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he's just a smart player. I think when you can have enough guys on there that sort of get it and they're smart, then, like you can play functional defense. Like they just need to get out there and not give up the big, giant, explosive plays, which was happening with the Chargers.
Yeah, and if the Chargers want to be the team that they claim they want to be, and they have the aspirations and expectations of going into the playoffs and having a chance to make a run, you've got to win games like this where the team does not have their starting quarterback. You have to, no matter what the injuries are. As long as we have our starting quarterback, you got to find a way to win this game. David, what concerns you most about the injury list here?
I agree with Tony. I think a lot of these players should sit out, especially because we're going into a bye week after this. I don't want to say that we should take the Raiders lightly, because we shouldn't take any game lightly, especially a division game. And for some reason, I feel like we always play down to the Raiders especially when we're a better team than them on paper. But we're going into the bye week, and then coming out of the bye week, you have Dallas, and then you have Kansas City. And if you lose those two games coming out in week 6 and 7, your season could derail very quickly if you lose those two games. And the Dallas game is a Monday Night Football game, so that's even more rest for these players coming out of the bye week. Yeah, especially Austin Eckler. You said it earlier. We need all our weapons out there, and if Austin Eckler goes out there and messes up his ankle even more, and our season could go downhill very quickly if we play this wrong.
Yeah, we're in the AFC, and the schedule just gets tougher and tougher and tougher with every single week, it seems like. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that you got to try and get healthy. We're blessed with the early bye week, so that way the team can really focus. It's a huge difference to go into this bye week at 1-3 versus 2-2. They got to win this game. It's key. You come out of this game with a 2-game win streak and your team gets healthy at the same time, you're feeling juiced for the rest of the year. All right. let's get to our keys to victory. That's next on the list. Tony, what are you thinking for this week for keys to victory?
Keys to victory. So there's only like, here's my key to victory.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to say 1,000 things, but really it's one thing. One thing that I really, really think is the key to victory.
Unlock it.
The defensive line and the swarm tackling from like the secondary and the linebackers, right? Like it's just got to be that. Like I think that the D-line actually played pretty good, made a lot of plays and stuff like that, but there was, I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about football to know why certain gaps were like really wide open getting to the second level, or like what was going on in certain spots, or maybe it was just a good play and well blocked up or whatever. But just like when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, the D-line has kind of done their part here. I think they played pretty well. And a lot of the stuff that was up the middle is shut down. So like, I think it's Nick Williams played really nice. I saw Scott Matlock was on there making some nice plays. One of the plays he got a holding call on, like he just beats the guy and the guy just like full on arm around his neck. And I was like, you got to call that. Like there's no way two men that large, one of them could be wrapped around his neck and you don't call it. So I think it's that, but it's also like, just because of the size of Josh Jacobs, it's gotta be like everybody coming together and just smashing him and like really making it known. Like, I know you thought you were going to get back on track this week, but here's 68 yards on 18 carries. And it just isn't going to be, it's not going to be your day.
Yeah. We have a real chance here early on in this game to kind of immediately not demoralize them, but get them down in the dumps early on in this game when it comes to Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. And that's by stuffing Josh Jacobs. That's going to force them into some third down situations, whether Brian Hoyer is going to have to just drop back and throw against Thule and Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa coming after him. And I don't think it's going to go pretty. I think that it's going to be pretty ugly if this Chargers team can force Brian Hoyer to have to throw this football early and often in this game. That's my key to victory as well, Tony. That's what I was going to say right after you, is that the D-line, front seven, K9, getting Eric Kendricks back is huge. They got to get Josh Jacobs under control. You cannot let this man just have his breakout game of the year. Their rushing attack has already been awful this season. Their offensive line is just getting bullied at the line of scrimmage in the run game. We got to do the same thing. David, any other keys to add?
Yeah, I think we need to get back to running the football. We ran for, 235 yards or something like that in week 1, and then we lose Austin Eckler, and then Josh Kelly just can't handle the load. I think Josh Kelly needs to step up if he's going to continue to be the starter. I don't know what the coaches see in him in practice every week to make him the bell cow running back, but if he's going to continue to perform like he has, we got to run by committee until we get Austin Eckler back. I think running the football, open up the pass, like Athir said, getting Justin Herbert the ball and getting the Raiders down early so that they force Brian Hoyer to try to win.
Let me know what you guys think in the chat for keys to victory. Athir said unleash Justin Herbert early and often. Let us know, Carlos, if you're still in there, or any other viewers that have some takes, or you can put them down in the comments below. I also think another key here is let's get the rookie wide receiver going down the field, especially. Yeah. Let's get him going this week, because I think that there's a real opportunity against this Raiders secondary to kind of get some separation down the field. And with Herbert's arm and this guy's speed and agility, it will be fun to be there in person to watch Q1's first big bomb for a touchdown of his career, first of many.
Oh, for sure. Like, whenever it happens, it'd be great. It'd be nice if you were, there and it silenced the crowd, right? Which should it'll be a lot of Raiders fans, whether we like it or not. I'm hoping that whatever it is on this stage, that these wide receivers that need to step up seize these opportunities, because it really is like, it's a huge loss to lose Mike Williams. Like, I've seen some people saying like, this is kind of what happens. We've done this before without Mike Williams. I don't like all that conversation, but at the same point, like, there's no denying when he's on the field, the team is better. He's a great player. There's a reason he made all that money. There's the catch that he made down the sidelines last week, the throw from Herbert out of the end zone. I was like, there's no way he can catch this, or he caught that, and he did. And we now need Palmer and Quentin Johnston and even Darius Davis. Like, and when you watch it, it's like guys are getting open downfield, but Herbert is just going to who he knows and trusts, and they're open. Keenan's open, or Mike's open, or Gerald's open. But Quentin and Palmer are both winning downfield multiple times, and I think, especially if Crosby's banged up, he's going to have a chance to really throw like 2 or 3 passes that's going to get everybody excited heading into the bye week. It's going to get them like inside their building excited. It's going to give more stuff for the Cowboys to look at on film as they're preparing the following week for that. So I think that like kind of having that opportunity to show, oh, these guys are for real. Like they might not be Mike Williams, but they're damn good.
Couple social media throws, Tony. That's what you want to see?
I don't subscribe to that theory at all.
The 2 Cents Peanut Gallery is saying there's no doubt that JT Woods is going to step up. Well, not this week.
I love
2
it.
Cents Peanut Gallery. JT Woods is out, but I do think that he's going to get more playing time throughout the year.
Wait,
Carl
JT
Starr saying he's
out?
Yeah, he's
I
sick.
told you this. He's sick.
Oh, I thought it was just for practice today. You mean he's out of the game sick?
He's ruled out of the game. Yeah, he's not playing.
Oh, that's a killer.
We see J.C. Jackson back there.
Yep, J.C. Jackson might play safety. That was something I was going to bring up too.
I think it will be more likely Jasir Taylor.
Maybe. I don't know. We may see a corner play some, like just have some switches where they have to go to safety just because they don't have that many safeties going into this game. Carl Starter saying
might not be bad either back
he
there.
could drop back too if he needs to. Yeah, he's kind of like a safety hybrid. He's saying that pressure on the QB is his key here. I agree with you, Carlos. I think once Brian Hoyer does have to step back to pass, we get in his face. We don't let him step up into the pocket. He's not going to be able to get the ball downfield to Mr. Adams very often. Even if it's a lot of Raiders fans, just remember this is the most expensive game, and they're just paying out teams' bills. You want me to go on my rant on this? Because I'm so sick of hearing Raiders fans talk about invading SoFi Stadium. Actually, as a part of my interviews this week, the fan interviews I'll do at the stadium for my content, I'm going to ask them, what were you doing last Sunday when you watched the Raider game? I know you weren't at the game. It was all Steelers fans at the Raider game last Sunday. You didn't give a fuck about invading stadiums then. Why do you care about invading stadiums here? And Raiders fans always tell me, oh, but it's more expensive. To go to a Raiders-Chargers game, it's the most expensive game of the year in SoFi Stadium. Oh, it's in Las Vegas, and we own L.A. Las Vegas is 3.5 hours away from L.A. I go there all the time for Raiders games against the Chargers. So don't give me none of these excuses. I don't care if you guys invade SoFi Stadium because it don't mean shit to me anymore. Not a damn thing.
Hire a bodyguard.
I was just going to say that.
Not a damn thing. And also, I got nothing else. I'm going to get myself in trouble now. Just going off on individuals, not even just the Raider Nation anymore. Carlos wants to see a trick play toss to Darius Davis. It's definitely in the playbook. We've seen it kind of come out a few times. We've also seen them show the motion and not actually pitch it, but guarantee you that trick play toss that you're talking about, Carlos, it's an end around is what it's called. That's in the playbook, and they could use it this week. It'd be a good time to use it. Bold prediction time. Athir's ready for it. Tony, fire that bold prediction away.
That bold prediction. So my bold prediction. I should have came prepared for this one, but I'm gonna go to my favorite player that I feel like is getting some unnecessary heat. Like even in some of the breakdowns, Josh Palmer. Like I heard Chase Daniels talking about the game, and he's like, "Hey, you got to catch this ball and you got to stay in bounds. That's a touchdown." That one that he caught down the sidelines there, not the touchdown.
He did stay in bounds, Chase.
That's what I'm saying. He stayed in bounds, coverage, while getting pass interfered with. Like him and JT O'Sullivan did a breakdown of Herbert too, which was phenomenal. And he also said, hey, 5, you got to stay in bounds on this play and score a touchdown for your QB. It's like, bro, he's getting pushed while trying to track the ball down the sideline. Like I thought it was a great play. I also am one of those people that will argue that they drafted Josh Palmer to be a down-the-field receiver. That's what he was at Tennessee. The route running that he does is a bonus, but he wins downfield. He makes big plays, even on the touchdown pass. To be able to stay with it and be concentrating and not give up, like he saw that ball coming up short. The DB also, again, people thinking that was a gimme interception. The dude was horizontal to the ground while in trail coverage. Like it was a tough pick. But anyways, I think Palmer goes for 90 plus yards, touchdown, and has 2 key blocks. You guys know I love wide receivers that block. 2 key blocks that spring a big touchdown. One, maybe Darius Davis. Maybe there's like, Elijah Dotson. But Palmer will have 2 key blocks that lead to touchdowns to go along with, 7 grabs, 90 yards, and a touchdown.
I can see it, especially now. He's going to be the wide receiver too. He's going to be working outside as well. Yeah, I could see Josh Palmer having a big game this week. I think he's going to have a big season from here on out. I mean, personally, he was great last year when he needed to fill in, but I feel like he looks even better this year. He looks a little faster. He looks a little calmer. He looks a little bit – he's building that experience up as a receiver that Keenan has, and Keenan's passing that wisdom to him.
Yeah.
For it.
Carlos just said, I want to see Palmer moss somebody for a TD. If you go back and watch, I think it's his first touchdown ever in the Ravens game in garbage time. He mossed somebody in that game. Last year in a game.
Patriots. Yeah, Patriots game too.
Yeah, Patriots game. He mossed somebody in that game. He also had a big play last year against the Chiefs for a deep down the field score. He has had multiple times where he gets by the defenders and draws PIs. Like, he's open. He's just a lot of times like he's, third in the read concept, and the other guys are open because if your first read is Keenan Allen, there's like a 97% chance that Keenan's smoking who's ever in front of him. Like yeah. That's the problem. You don't need to get to read number 3 if Keenan is always getting open.
18 times last week. Carlos will say he's tired of the SoFi Stadium stuff like me. I agree with you, Carlos. What if we did this to counteract it? The Chargers play the Raiders late in the year in Las Vegas this season. I probably could talk to some of our diehard Bolt Club friends, and we could plan our own invasion. We just got to start planning it now.
I may be in for that. I still have to pick my second game because I didn't spend the exorbitant amounts for the Raiders game this year. So I'm going to watch the Bears, and I'm either going to Ravens. Been thinking about that one, but I could probably talk my wife into a little trip to Vegas.
Entire stadium might be a lofty goal, but what if we just sold out a nice chunk, like a nice section in the end zone? So every time like the camera pans into a touchdown shot, no matter which side scores in that end zone, like the whole entire section will be blue. And then I'll just meme it up and make it seem like the whole stadium was blue. I don't know. I feel like we could do it. I feel like we could pull it off.
The whole section behind the Raiders sideline.
That will be hilarious, actually. That will be the funniest one. That will be the funniest one. David, what do you got for bold prediction for this week? You going for Keenan Allen for 500 yards receiving?
No. I'm gonna pivot from Keenan Allen because I think we need to show some other people some love because I think Keenan's got it. I think he proved last week that he's got it. I did want to bring one interesting fact up though, talking about the wide receivers, and I talked about it a little bit earlier with the average separation that they're getting. But Quentin Johnston on 48 snaps this year is averaging I think it's right under 6 yards of separation per snap. And Keenan Allen is right around 4.5 yards per snap. And Josh Palmer is right over 3.5 yards per snap. So our receivers are getting a wide open on all the time. But I want to pivot to my bold prediction. Josh Kelly's going to have a bounce back game. He's going to have 120 yards on the ground on 16 carries, 1 receiving touchdown, and a rushing touchdown.
I sure hope, David.
I'm really here.
This is it. Raider week is the week he's going to bounce back.
I get more Josh Kelly fantasy questions than any other player, and I've been right every time with my advice so far.
I said he was going to be RB1 in fantasy last week. I was like, here we go. I'll ride with him. I hope that he does make the most of his opportunity. He seems like such a fantastic person. I root for him to succeed at every opportunity in life.
And for my bold prediction, I'll go defense. I'm going to call for 2 Asante Samuel interceptions, the first 2 of the season. He had his hands on one last week, came close. I think that there's going to be a lot of I think Brian Hoyer might actually do it less than Jimmy G does it. Like, I kind of want Jimmy G to play over the other quarterbacks because I think Brian Hoyer would be a little bit more fearful to do it. They do a lot of effort, and they just throw it up to Devontae Adams, and he goes and gets it. But Zont's going to get up on one or two of those passes. They just leave it up hanging like that. And then here's a theory. Also, I was thinking about going 0 pressures for Max Crosby. Do you have that much confidence in Trey Pipkins?
Ooh.
I like that's a bold take, but I mean, if you're gonna get Crosby for 0 pressures, it better be right now. He's a
all right. Well, he's dinged up.
Yeah.
Our defense is back against the wall. I think this is a Thier's bold prediction. If they struggled, they could lose their coach. My bold prediction is the Chargers hold the Raiders under 300 total yards for the game and no touchdowns. That's a blowout city right there at Thier. Blowout city. I'm there for that though. I'm here for that. I want to see Palmer Moss. Somebody already saw that one. Time for the Chargers future receivers to step up. Yes, sir. We're ready for it. And he included Darius Davis in that. I love that. I think Darius Davis is one of the future stars of the Chargers. Hopefully
Keenan.
Comes our own little speedster. Well, Keenan's on. Well, I mean, he is a future receiver.
The future of the team.
How long do you think he's going to play for? 35, 36?
I'm hoping for 38.
We already did yours at Thier. Bold prediction. Johnston scores 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns, not TO touchdowns, but 2 touchdowns. Here for that. I want to see a big play from Johnston down the field so badly. Or what if he just catches one of these screen passes that we keep throwing and just breaks one off? Also, I have a question. Why wasn't Johnston running the screen pass last week?
So
what the hell?
Johnson did catch one of those last week, and I think he got like 7 yards. It was encouraging to see. It was a nice play to see. There was a play, and it's pointed out nicely in JT O'Sullivan's breakdown, where Herbert makes a more difficult throw on the sideline on the first touchdown drive to Keenan Allen, and the easier throw is actually for a touchdown to Quentin Johnston. And I think that when they get back and they get to sit there and they get to watch film and you see these concepts, like they'll probably run that formation, that call again, and he'll be able to be like, oh, I do need to give it a beat and see if Johnston's continuing to win on that play. Like he's going to at some point have to just start trusting and going to these other players.
100%.
I don't get 4.5 yards of separation though.
Carlos wants to see a winning touchdown to Keenan Allen. I don't want the game to be that close, Carlos.
I know. I
don't
just
want
going
the game to be that close.
Is this a second quarter touchdown when they're up 21-0, or what's?
Yeah, it's the starters touchdown on the first drive after half, and they're already up by 40. Anyways, that brings us to the score prediction, Tony. Fire away.
I shall start. I'm going to go 38, and it's not the score that I want them to give up. I'm going to go 38-20. I think they can have a little success, and maybe even in garbage time, trying to make it look closer than it is. But I really think even though there's all of the injuries, this team still has the offense necessary to put up a really nice performance. You know, like 17, sort of a 17-6 halftime lead, and then come out in the second half, take the ball away, score, and like really just put it on them. You know, like have that kind of offense where I want to see a game where they're winning big, and I'm like, well, last year they would just be like running little 5-yard comebacks and handing the ball off or whatever. I want to see they're up 24, play action over the top, 80-yard touchdown right after the kickoff to Darius. You know, like that's what I want to see. So we go 38-20. Big win, headed into the bye, back to 2-2. Season's just beginning.
Love it. David, what's your score prediction for this week?
I have a similar score, but I don't have the Raiders scoring that much. I do want to bring up real quick, though. We played the Raiders in week 4 2 years ago, and we won by 2 touchdowns. Just remember that. But my score prediction is 31-10. Chargers win on a Daniel Carlson field goal when they're down 24 points.
They went for the field goal down 8 points last week, and it just didn't do anything but just make the score a little closer. So they're going to go to the field goal down 20, which they might actually do. Be like, let's just get some positive for the game ends, kick a field goal. How funny would that be to put those two together after the game ends? But yeah, I'm thinking similar to you, David. I think that our red zone defense plays really well again. Maybe they bend a little but don't break and give up a few field goals, 2 field goals. and we'll give the Raiders 1 garbage time touchdown. So I'm going 34-13 Chargers.
And it's going to be Brian Hoyer running it in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be. But don't play your Raiders in fantasy football. That's all I'll say. I got the Chargers defense in fantasy football this week. QJ coming out party. 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not going to judge your prediction because you got it exactly right on Keenan Allen last week at Thier. So let's see it. 176, 2 touchdowns, and the Chargers win 38-6. They give up 2 field goals. I think it's similar.
Yeah. Athir, if you go back to back on these wide receiver predictions, I'm going to need you every week to be coming with some heat from a receiving a pass catcher thing, because we were texting in our chat, and it was like, wait, he's going to be right. Like, he's going to be like, David's like, oh, look at this, I hit my mark, and Keenan just keeps on going. And
it doesn't end.
Like, holy shit, Athir's actually going to be right. Like, I was laughing. I was like, dude, 200 yards? Are you kidding me? Like, do you know how much yak he'd have to have? Well, he surpassed anything I thought was possible. So
here's the great thing. What the hell are the Raiders going to do against him? Like, what are they going to do? They can't stop him. They just got to try and control him.
It should be fun. Like, this should be the kind of game where it's like they come out, it's intense at the beginning, right? All these rivalry games are intense. Everybody's fresh. Yeah. The smelling salts are still in there. It's crazy. Maybe the Raiders even open with a field goal. But then just the sheer talent on the offensive side of the ball for the Chargers, it should be boat race time.
Well, like, last year on the first drive, Tony, is when I made that infamous video, one of my most viral videos I've ever made. They got a first down, and the Raiders fans were losing their mind. First down on the first drive. And I took like a video of all of them, like going crazy, panning. And then the fourth quarter, I took another video of them, and they were all like super sad and down, droopy, and hugging each other.
But even in that game last year, like, it was crazy because I remember at halftime, and I was so drunk. I was just sitting there, and I was like, they're going to blow the doors off of this team. Like, the second half of this game is going to be nuts. And then it's like, well, Keenan's not out there anymore. And now all of a sudden the game plan is sort of lost and weird and not very good in the second half. And it becomes close. There's like a bunch of interceptions. Khalil Mack has 3 sacks and both. What's up? What's up with this game being close? I want him to be just dumped. Like, I'm so tired of the amount of Raiders fans that talk to me in my life that I'm like,
I wish that I would have like had in that video had panned the camera down to see the jersey I was wearing. So I was wearing a Khalil Mack Chargers jersey that day. That shit would have been great. But anyways, that's going to do it for us here at Nuts and Bolts this week. We appreciate everyone for tuning into this one. If you're watching the replay, if you're tuned in live, please like the stream, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share us with some more Chargers fans. If you're going to the game on Sunday and you see me there, say what's up. It'll be good to see any Nuts and Bolts listeners. And whenever someone says, like, hey, I seen you from the Nuts and Bolts podcast, it means just a little bit more to me than like the TikTok and the other stuff that we do, just because I know that I'm a lot closer to you. We're more same. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Bolt up!